A Common Law Cohabitation Guide. Chapter 1. Common Law Info. Living together/shacking up without a marriage license. If a man wants to leave a toothbrush at my house, he can damn well marry me. Michelle Triola, actor Lee Marvin's girlfriend who sued him for financial support after the breakup. Living together without being married was once considered a sin and cultural taboo, and it's still a sin for those who carry the torch of Christianity, but alas, times have changed. What was considered a chic oddity in the 1960s and 70s has permeated the culture so much that credit card companies now put the term co-applicant on their application forms as opposed to spouse. The traditional argument is that you don't buy a car before trying it out, just like you don't get married before checking out how you each live as individuals and together as your lifestyle in the same house or apartment, but it goes beyond this. People shack up for many different reasons. A guy might offer his poor girlfriend a place to live. Two people going steady but don't know if they love each other might move in together simply because it's cheaper that way. Some people, like me, don't really like the government and don't feel that two people in love need to get a contract from Big Brother authorizing their relationship. Follow your own intuition and wisdom, but disregard what parents and others think of the concept of you two living together in sin, fun, like and self-discovery. Their comments about your partner could be useful, but their comments about living together before marriage or out of wedlock don't hold water in a free society. Currently, about 6 million couples live out of wedlock in the United States. The bottom line is that shacking up is not really a trial run for a marriage. In my opinion, it should be an end in itself. You do it in the moment in order to be with each other, save money, etc., but you don't do it with the expectation that this is the first phase of the marriage ritual. You take it as it is. If it's great, you can get married if you want. If it's not, you either live together for a while for pragmatic convenience sake, but then one leaves and you move on, probably shacking up together with someone else to see how compatible you are day to day. In fact, serial monogamy is an emerging trend in modern society, staying with different partners for varying lengths of time as you live your life. Just like the military for me at the age of 17 was a good way to learn about how to live with people, I think shacking up is a good way to get beyond your natural, inherent self-centeredness to learn how to live with others. At the very least, living together will teach you some basic life lessons about other people, their fragile egos and weaknesses, their beauty, love, hate, etc. You either learn to be a compromiser and a team player or play tit for tat, purposely getting on each other's nerves. Where is the line between independence and being emotionally connected? Where is the middle ground between having fun and living out the mundane responsibilities? How far do you go in the sacrifice of your standards? You acknowledge that he isn't perfect, that everybody is human, but how low do you go before you leave or kick him out? If he's too immature to take care of his own life, how could you ever have entertained the possibility of marriage with him? You can never get enough of learning about living with people in the same house. If you go in with the attitude that you're just learning about life, you'll make out a lot better than going in expecting the situation to lead to marriage. The moralists seem to think there's a great moral divide between people that live together out of wedlock versus people who get the civil marriage license and take the religious vows, but in the cold, hard reality of day-to-day life, the reasons are often much more mundane and practical. It's convenient and cheap for a boyfriend and girlfriend to live together in many cases rather than not. Life is hard. Providing a roof over one's head while trying to get an education and make one's way in the world is not a cup of tea for us people born without silver spoons in our mouths. For a young guy and young girl, this is often the only practical way to make a go of it. The statistics suggest that people who live together then marry have much higher divorce rates than people who don't live together but get married and then live together, presumably because these people are not as conventional nor as serious about their wedding vows when they do eventually take them. This runs counter to the main argument for cohabitation, which is namely that you should test the waters by living together before you do it. Another argument is that people who shack up do so for many different reasons, some of them less than for pure love, while people who marry right off the top feel that they love each other and want to be together forever. Even though many cohabitating couples marry because they have a kid or just do it by osmosis, they don't have this strong love that the immediate marrying lovebirds do. The fact is that people with uncommitted attitudes towards each other often live together. I say, so what? It's not much different from roommates except that there's sex involved. Take it any way you want, either as a casual living arrangement for now or as a preparatory course for marriage, but either way, be wary of getting trapped, something like getting financially dependent on the guy without your own meal ticket independently, or having a baby. Then you're stuck with him at least for a while even if you don't love him. Trust your instincts. Don't take living together too hard. If you love each other, you tie the knot. If you don't, you move out, so what? Just like with same-gender roommates, there are good times and bad times. It's part of growing up. It's no big deal. Some guys want their girls to move in with them so they can control them. Some girls want to move in with their guys because they're afraid he'll either break up if they don't, or that this is the way to snag him into marriage. Like I said earlier, the purest motive is to move in together to live life in those moments as they happen. Whatever happens happens with no expectations going in. Some types of living together arrangements that generally don't work out for very long are: big age difference, young girl fresh out of mama's house, different religions, different cultural background, i.e., the hip-hop girl and the jazzy guy, disapproval of your lover by friends and family. One is either married, living apart, or in the process of divorce. One has children, either with or without custody. Don't talk much. Don't relate much beyond sex. Don't really know each other. How to determine marriage material if you're living together are to look for the following points. Do you talk regularly? Do you do romantic things together? Are you intimate physically as opposed to just sexual? When you have spats, do you get over them? Do you like being with each other? Do you feel safe, trustworthy, and loyal to each other? Do you like the same things? Do you live the same lifestyle? Are you respectful and kind to each other? Do you want the relationship to work? Are you relaxed, unstressed people, or is one or both of you tense? Do you share values with respect to kids, money, career, lifestyle, and marriage? If you really like each other but think you're too young, too poor, or not established enough career-wise, I personally think that shacking up is better than getting married right away. It's a timing thing. You have to feel ready for it. You could propose, give her an engagement ring, move in together with an understanding that you'll get married when he finishes his schooling and becomes an MD 3 years from now. This prospect of getting engaged then moving in together works for a lot of people to appease their conservative relatives. Living together is good to help you get beyond the fog of romance to learn the day-to-day realities of living together. Like, what are your thoughts on money? Do we keep assets together or apart, or do both have an account which each contributes equally to for bills and separate ones? Both names on the lease or just one? If you watch court TV, ex-lovers always argue about major purchases like a car, stereo, etc. Either one buys it and keeps the paperwork as sole owner, or if you both buy, get the paperwork stating that you're equal co-owners. Don't give the other your credit card unless you're prepared to absorb their frivolous purchases. How do you pay for the rent or mortgage? How do you pay for food, bills, etc.? Does one pay and the other not, or do you go 50-50? Split of chores. Cleaning standard, cleaning chores. Slobbiness versus clean freak. Choice of pet. Home decor. Personal space in the house. Freedom from each other. Give each other space. Bringing friends in. How invasive does it get? Body odor, how clean do you stay? Personal things, too much clutter is bad. Courteous manner. Leave stuff on the floor. Watch TV all night. Drinks too much. You cook all the time. He doesn't even wash the dishes. You want health food. He wants junk food. Bathroom cleanliness. Snooping into each other's personal things. Do you change surnames even if common law, especially if you have a kid? If you're looking for marriage material, watch out for people who come from divorced families because they already got that strike against them regarding long-term relationships. People who don't really believe in marriage, just jacking up. Your intuition says it'll never work out. You tally up a list of positives and negatives and they're either close or the positive side is not clearly dominant. Non-monogamous person who likes his fun on the side too. Feel like you're losing your identity, that this situation is smothering you somehow. You feel that he doesn't really love you, that he's just using you for casual sex and a meal ticket. You or he are angry, frustrated people always full of angst. Feel like you live on two different planets. Feel bored by him or her. The spark isn't there. Modern-day couples, brainwashed by the world, often make a big deal about the part of town to live in, the particular place itself, the decor of the place, etc. This is all crap. As long as the place is convenient to your daily business, everything else is noise provided it's a functional pad with electricity and water. Some people protect themselves legally by making up a cohabitation agreement discussed elsewhere or a kind of prenup except that they're not married. It's a basic contract detailing what she gets if she leaves. Books about unmarried couples are at hashtag 306.735 or HQ893.5 at the library. domparts.com. Nalo.com, Book Living Together, a legal guide for unmarried couples. Unmarried.org. Arguments against marriage. Marriage is a traditional institution. Some people say screw that. If I like someone we live together, then when we get tired of each other, we part ways, no legal entanglement mess. For some people, it's straight money. A marriage license and a wedding costs money that they do not want to spend. It's a symbol to not get legally married. You're stating that you live in the moment. If your mate gets bitchy, you can leave without getting tied up in the legal system. Many relationships quickly degenerate to a master-servant relationship and/or domestic violence. With a marriage license, it's harder to leave than to just walk away. Most marriages are not equal. One has power over the other. Women and men are still frowned upon if they are single and childless past the age of 40. Is this good or bad? To thine own self be true. Don't listen to what society says you should do. Divorce is a tedious process that wastes time and will probably eat up half of your assets. The pro-marriage crowd. The counter-arguments are: marriage is blasted as the key to happiness every night on several TV shows. Every girl's dream is Mr. Right. Marriage is a part of virtually every religion. Marriage is moral responsibility. Children need a stable environment. Marriage has been in place for a long time, even if it was mostly a boss-servant relationship. People who criticize marriage are messed up people who do not know how to thrive in a relationship. People are so selfish and brainwashed that it's hard to find a good spouse. Marriage is not for everyone, but it is right for some people. A marriage license guarantees certain kinds of rights between each other, like hospital visitation, debts, power of attorney, inheritance, etc. Women and men are still frowned upon if they are single and childless past the age of 40. Is this good or bad? Common law cohabitation. In some states cohabitation is illegal, but in most, the government recognizes the common law marriage, which is essentially living together as a couple without the formality of a wedding ceremony and a marriage license if certain conditions are met, like length of time together, which must be significant, at least 2 years, file joint tax returns, the girl adopts the guy's last name, and they consider themselves husband and wife for all intents and purposes. You can check on common law laws in the common law states: Alabama, Colorado, D.C., Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Montana, New Hampshire, for estate settlement only, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, Utah. Although an individual can use this as a legal basis in matters of separation, child custody, alimony, inheritance, etc., it is often a difficult process, and ultimately the best way to go for legal reasons is to tie the knot in a formal ceremony, or at least get the license and get it signed to make it legal. In many areas, if you're common law, together for 7 or more years, the court will recognize that as legal marriage for all intents and purposes. Common law marriages are on the increase these days for a number of reasons, one of which is to avoid the legal hassles of marriage. However, there is some basis for an equitable disbursement of assets after a breakup because there's an implied agreement based on the couple's conduct. Hence, the woman is entitled to part of the man's earnings during the relationship if she lived together with him and did the housework duties and such. This Supreme Court finding is very tentative and subject to varying interpretations in different states and with different judges depending on where their sympathies lie. The most common problem is that of the disbursement of assets in case of split up, especially the ones where the couple went splits like a house, car, dog, furniture, etc. The general procedure is each take what they went in with and try to split what they went splits on equitably. The girl has no rights to whatever assets the guy may have acquired during the cohabitation, even if he started a multi-million-dollar company and she helped him. The other big one is the death of one, in which case, the other is not automatically entitled to the estate. The immediate family is, namely parents and siblings. You need a will. If two people live together and split up, one can't sue for alimony but can sue for child support if applicable. Many wealthy older men and women choose common law over marriage to avoid money hassles if they were to get married and split up. It's that much simpler. If you want to get the common law spouse involved, you can do it selectively by making her the joint bank account holder or joint homeowner by putting her name on the deed. Conversely, you can keep whatever you want in your name. If you have medical and dental insurance at work, many companies have provisions allowing for domestic partners to be covered under the plan. Most states deal only with marriage and have no laws for dealing with common law relationships. Judges often decide on a case-by-case basis. Judges frown on sex for support arrangements like some girl living with you in exchange for sex. If it's not in exchange for friendship but in exchange for sex, there's no bond there, the judge will throw it out. Although the concept of living together without getting married is generally accepted within our society, several states have laws which could get you in trouble. For instance, fornication, which is sexual relations between unmarried people, is illegal in Georgia, Idaho, Mississippi, North Carolina, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Utah, and Virginia. Cohabitation, which is defined as two people of the opposite sex living together and having sexual relations without being married, is illegal in Florida, Idaho, Michigan, Mississippi, New Mexico, North Carolina, and Virginia. Even though you're in a supposed loving common law relationship, always protect yourself with documentation. If you're moving into an apartment, get your name on the lease too, so that he just can't kick you out if he wants to. If your name is not on the lease, he can kick you out legally anytime he wants to. Don't help pay for a car unless your name goes on the title with his. Don't get joint accounts because he might clean you out if he feels like it and it's legal because his name is on the account. If you buy a house together, get your name on the deed. If you buy furniture together, make sure he pays his half and even go as far as writing up a contract to declare ownership. If you're still married to someone while living with someone else, the court won't recognize the common law situation. In order to avoid a paper trail showing you supported your common law spouse, if you give her a check of $200 or more, write gift on the check so it doesn't show that you're supporting her, which will set a precedent in the case of a breakup. The 5 commandments of cohabitation arrangements are: be independent as though you were living single. Be honest with each other about money. Make up a cohabitation agreement. Each make up a will. Develop a balanced plan to pay the bills. In the end, talk to a lawyer or a paralegal about the law in your area. I've just covered the basics. Nalo Press has a book called The Living Together Kit, a legal guide for unmarried couples. You might find it at hashtag 346.7301 of your local library. In any case, check out your local library or courthouse for specific laws regarding the common law marriage. Cohabitation agreement info. An alternative to a full-fledged marriage license is the cohabitation agreement/domestic contract, a marriage contract without the marriage ceremony or license where both sides put down on paper what they keep and what they own in the event of a breakup. Although they have some strength in a courtroom, they could be set aside if one party didn't enter it willingly nor understand what it meant, or one side used deception in disclosing all assets and liabilities. If you have children, both sides will have to be responsible to raise them. People in common law relationships should make up a written cohabitation agreement, which is one step towards marriage but less binding than a marriage contract, but it is a contract kind of like a friendly business contract. You should cover whatever you deem necessary, like allocation of assets upon termination of the relationship, car and real estate titles, assets acquired during the relationship, how to deal with children, child support, partner's medical costs, authorize partner to speak for you in case of medical crisis, in case of death, prepare a will, apartment lease, pet ownership, loan versus gifts, business ventures, investments, palimony, credit card bills. While you're at it, each of you should make up a will. In the end, consult a lawyer or paralegal about your cohabitation agreement. Ultimately, a judge decides on the value of these contracts in any legal proceedings. If you decide to get married, you can use it as the basis of a prenuptial agreement. If you don't have a cohabitation agreement, sometimes a verbal agreement might hold up in court, like if he told you that he'd take care of you for life during a romantic moment. 20 states have adopted the Uniform Premarital Agreement Act, which lets couples write up agreements regarding all manner of their relationship together, including divorce and death. Check it out at your local courthouse or a law library. They are Arizona, Arkansas, California, Hawaii, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Maine, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Jersey, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, Virginia. Some states have laws for opposite-sex couples called significant other laws, which give some people in common law relationships some protections with or without a cohabitation agreement, but it's best to have one because it spells everything out on paper should a judge be forced to make a decision at some later date. Think of it as a prenuptial agreement without getting married. Marital property laws do not apply to couples who are not legally married, but courts everywhere are recognizing the validity of cohabitation relationships, and they are honoring cohabitation agreements, which are legal contracts. Therefore, they must honor the legal definition of what a contract is. There are 4 tenets of a legal contract. It can be written. It can be oral. It can be implied. The court decides by examining the situation. If a judge cannot find evidence of an implied contract, he or she may presume that the parties intend to deal fairly with each other and find one party indebted to the other by invoking established legal doctrines of equity and fairness. People living together without getting married should make up a contract if they are together longer than a year, have kids together, one or both make a lot of money, you plan to share expenses, get joint ownership of everything, both names on all leases, and if one or both buy a house and other big items they both use. You can make up 2 types of agreements. One for money and property affairs. The other for how you will treat each other and live day by day. Make the business agreement for legal affairs and the personal agreement as a personal standard that you will live by. Make everything crystal clear. If it is the guy's house they move into, put it into the agreement that it's his house and that if you split up, he keeps it free and clear. If you agree to buy a house together, put it in the agreement that if you split up, you each own 50% equity in it. Make a list of what you each own separately. If you give the other a gift, write it up in the agreement that it is a gift. Write up a statement saying that in the event of a breakup, one person will not be legally bound to financially support the other. The more you keep assets separate and live as though you were single, the better off you will be if you split up. When you give your common law spouse anything, even money, always mark on the check or in the agreement that it's a gift. By doing this, you establish a trail that you are not financially responsible or supporting this other person. Gay people entering marriages in a place where gay marriages are not legal should make up a cohabitation agreement. Common law website / unmarried couples websites. Divorcenet.com/states. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/common-law_marriage_in_the_united_states. ago.state.co.us/faq/clm_faq.cfm, Colorado. amaci.com/demian/common.html. ask.yahoo.com/ask/20010921.html. attorney-guide.com/common-law-marriage.htm. California. buddybuddy.com/common.html. caudivorkionline.com/calpage/alimony/common law. classes.washburnlaw.edu/maxw/publication/can Kansans live happily ever after without common law marriage. co.travis.tx.us/dro/common_law.asp, Travis County, Texas. Cohabiting.org. coloradodivorceinfo.com/divorce-process/common. colorado-family-law.com. ct-divorce.com/comlaw.htm, Connecticut. divorce.co.uk/hot topics/articles/cohabitants.html, who will get the house if we split up? divorceinkentucky.com/unmarried_common-law.php. divorcenet.com/state/georgia/ga_common_law. divorcenet.com/state/oklahomas/common_law_m. domparts.com. edenTech.co.uk/cohabitation.html. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/cohabitation. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/common_law_marriage. equalityinmarriage.org/bmcommon.html. equalityinmarriage.org/d/news/together.html. expertlaw.com/library/family_law/common_law. family.findlaw.com/marriage. familylawesquire.com. finaid.org/educators/commonlaw.phtml, definition of common law for student aid. gotquestions.org/common-law-marriage.html. law.com/family/unmarried-cohab/cohabitation. law.cornell.edu/topics/table_marriage.htm, state marriage statutes. lectlaw.com/def/c072.htm, legal definition of common law marriage. lectlaw.com/files/fam14.htm, unmarried couples living together. legalday.co.uk/current/cohabitation.htm. livetaxfree.com/the.htm, the common law marriage book. madivorkionline.com, Massachusetts. menstuff.org/issues/by-issue/commonlaw.html. ncsl.org/program/sci-f/commonlaw.htm. New Jersey divorkionline.com. nlrg.com/sample/roddy.pdf, South Carolina. nalo.com. nalo.com/encyclopedia/article/mlt/sbhtml. nalo.com/lawcenter/nc/article.cfm/objectid/7. 000.com/cohabitation.html. padfororkionline.com/papage/alimony/common law. Palimony.com. policy.ssa.gov/poms.nsf/lnx/0200305075s1. policy.ssa.gov/poms.nsf/lnx/15056050001. rajolaw.com/comlaw.htm, Dallas, TX. rhrabar.law.com/cm/custom/faq.asp, Michigan Family Law Firm. romanceopedia.com/p-cohabitatingcouples.html. state.co.us/gov_dir/leg_dir/olls/pdf/common law marriage, Colorado. tmclark.com/jp/commonlaw.html. trivia-library.com/b/alternative-forms-of-marriage. unmarried.org. unmarried.org/common.html. unmarried.org/commonlaw.pdf. unmarried.org/common-law-marriage.html. usairforce.af.mil/superintendent/ja/common law, military benefits in common law marriages. uscg.mil/hq/cgpc/cpm/benfts/proofmar.htm. users.pghconnect.com/normag/clminfo.html, Pennsylvania. findlaw.com/family. www.ebtax.com/general/common_law.htm, taxes. Nalo Press. 950 Parker Street, Berkeley, California 94710. 800-992-6656. 800-728-3555. Fax, 800-645-0895. Nalo.com. Book Living Together, a legal guide for unmarried couples.